What are you doing? Aren't you coming? We're going to go talk with George Bee. So, this podcast that we're going to watch, that I'm screwing up in the way that I'm talking, it's with George Bee. He is the CEO of U.S. Corp. Him and I sat down at the Better in Our Backyard Expo in Minnesota this past year. When we had this conversation, we were talking about what it is that he's doing in the Wyoming gold mine that they are now working on. We talk about what the importance of gold is to the mining industry and how that affects our country here in the United States. America needs gold, and George is bringing that to us. And so it was a great conversation. He did a great job, and I really want you to check it out and hear what it is. Anyway, the reason that I wanted to talk with you before we started is, quite frankly, we messed up. When we did George's podcast, our cameras, mine looks really, really good, but George's, not so good. Matter of fact, we lost all of his footage. We make mistakes. Normally, we wouldn't play this podcast, but George had such important things to say that we think this is something that you want to hear. So we are posting it, but we want you to know that the footage isn't the best. Actually, it's a little less than that. But we really think what George has to say is important. And we hope that you enjoy it. We hope that our failure doesn't make it that it's less enjoyable for you, because what George has to say and the way that he says it, it's pretty cool. So come with us, step up to the line, and let's hear a real and honest conversation with George Bee of U.S. Corp. Come on. Well, I'm sitting here at the Mining and Energy Expo put on by Better in Our Backyard. We've been asked to be here by Giant and Better in Our Backyard, and we're greatly appreciative of being invited to bring the line to the mining industry. And I'm sitting here with George Bee of U.S. Corp.
That's correct.
Okay, so first of all, really cool name that gold is in it, because gold is a really cool part about mining. When I was a kid, that's all I thought it was the California gold rush.
It's been around for thousands of years, and it's going to be around for thousands of years.
Absolutely, absolutely. So George, tell us a little bit about your origins. Like, how did you end up getting into this industry?
Okay, so I'm English originally. I was about to become a sort of mechanical engineer, and the whole notion of that sounded a little bit boring, frankly. So I was in the library one day and looking through an ad for the Camborne School of Mines, and they were talking about international travel, using explosives, mining in weird and wonderful places, and I was hooked. So that started my mining career, and gosh, it's been a great career over 40 odd years. Wow.
So you made that transition. You've been doing that for over 40 years. You don't look a day over 35. So, and I have to say, you were saying this earlier. You have, I have some friends from Britain and some friends from Australia. I don't know anybody from South Africa, but you were talking about, like, you have a great voice. I feel like it's all those. You said you collect passports. So, what are some of the passports that you've collected?
Well, look, I've lived and worked in 7 countries on 4 continents. That's what mining's done. So, I lived in 8 years in South Africa. I'm Canadian as well. I lived and worked in Canada, U.S., Peru, Chile, Argentina. I worked a long time in Ecuador and also in Brazil.
Wow.
So that's the best way of learning a language, is to
live there.
To live there, just go and jump in at the deep end.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you seem like, I interviewed a guy a while back, and he said that he likes to just say yes to things because it's way more fun than saying no. And I thought that was really good. You seem like the kind of guy that's like, well, there's an opportunity there. Let's go after it. So,
Yeah, look, our modern lifestyle is on the foundation of the things that we grow and cultivate or mine.
yeah.
And so, mining is a little bit of a forgotten portion of our economy. It's such a small portion, but it's a basis on which everything. And now, at this Critical Minerals Conference, we're waking up to the fact that we cannot export all of our mining business overseas. We can do it in this country responsibly with great environmental practices and create good paying jobs. And why we would not do that and create the environment to do that is beyond me. So I think that's what this conference is all about.
Yeah, I would agree. George, what is a tool or piece of gear that you just cannot live without?
It's my ears. The thing is that you got to listen. What they say about mining engineers is that we're a jack of all trades and a master of none. So you got to listen to the people who are experts. And I think the expertise that has served me well is the ability to listen to the people that know their fields, and that the expertise of a mining engineer, a good one I think, is to be able to put all those components together.
Yeah. Well, and you really can't do that without listening. I read a book years ago. I love reading things that were written like 80 to 100 years ago that are still relevant today. And there's a lot of those things, actually. We just forget the importance of their relevance. But I read a book by a guy by the name of Dale Carnegie called How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Right.
And in that book, he talked about the importance of listening to people. And it has been one of the things, I didn't realize how selfish I was and how I needed to learn that. I needed to learn to listen and to use my ears and be like, oh, maybe I don't have the most important thing to say here, And some of the best conversations and podcasts that I've had, I've said all of 3 words, because the people that are coming and sitting down like yourself have such a wealth of knowledge that we're wanting to get out there and we're wanting to share with people. And so I think that right, you're not the first miner to say that to me.
Yeah, that's good.
That listening is something that's important. And really, if you want a career and you want to be a leader and you want to make a change in an industry, listening is essential. I don't think you realize, like, it's kind of like, in mining, you do exploratory research. That's really what listening is, so that you can make an effective decision. Because if you don't explore the right place and then you go to mine for something and it's not there, well, you're done. Where if you're listening and applying that listening, then you can know what your success is going to be in this area.
No, and absolutely. And, we employ various technologies, and you can't be an expert in all of them. So you've got to listen to the experts and see how you can put those things together.
So you've been all over the world, and now you have a project, I believe is it in Wyoming?
In Wyoming, southeast Wyoming, yeah.
Which is, the other really cool thing about mining is it's just such a, like, what do you want to call it? I came into the hotel parking garage this morning. I've never seen so many F-250 pickup trucks filling a parking garage. It was ridiculous.
Oh, you need to come to Wyoming, man.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Wyoming is like, the cowboy capital of the world.
We're the sponsors of the Frontier Days, which is a big event in July in Wyoming, and it really showcases what the folks in Wyoming are all about.
Yeah.
Natural resources, ranching, and the resource sector.
So talk to me about U.S. Gold Corp and what you guys are doing in Wyoming right now. And talk to me about how you'd been listening and so why you ended up there. And then talk about what it is that you guys are doing.
Okay, so how I ended up there, I live in Park City. I've got a career behind me, and really didn't need to embark on anything new. But I was asked to look at this project, and said, look, it's a great project. It's easy to develop, and what happens when you open your big mouth? You get handed the keys. So, from that perspective, the project is sitting actually in a historic mining district, Silver Crown mining district. It was discovered when the railroad went across the land bridge across Wyoming, east-west in the late 1800s. A lot of the guys developing the railroads there would have been prospectors and so on. They noticed the green staining on the rock, copper staining, and there was a little mining area that opened up and developed. It all closed down in the 1920s and has lain dormant, besides a little bit of exploration since then. And now, what is it that's changed? Well, the old boys could only really handle very high-grade material. We have a little, but we really have a big mass of lower-grade material. And now with the ability to move large tonnages and process large tonnages and employ things like froth flotation to extract and concentrate, we can make it economic. So that's what we're doing.
So you just kind of delved into, you used the word economic. And quite frankly, gold is often talked about when we talk about economics. I think since the beginning of time, people have been like, if you want security, have some gold. I mean, our country here in the United States, my dollar, I have a friend who actually has some money, paper money, that has a seal on it that says this is redeemable for gold.
Right.
And I saw that and I was like, wow.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. And so talk with me about the economics of that. I had a conversation with actually one of your investors the other day, and I said, well, what would be a question that you would want me to ask? And this is really interesting in your business because the numbers are very transparent. They're very visible. And so, people know what your profits are. People know what gold is right now. What do you see that bringing your organization and even your investors for the futures and what you guys are investing in for the future?
Well, look...
is that a fair question?
I think it's a fair question. Yeah, look... what I'm excited about with the CK Gold project. So Copper King turned into CK Gold. I rebranded it because about 70% of our value is associated with the copper that comes out of the mine. So let's just talk about gold and copper. Gold is a store of wealth.
Yeah.
It's tangible. It's not you can't lose your Bitcoin password and have it evaporate. It's going to be there somewhere.
Yeah.
As we look at the financial uncertainty, inflation, the debt that we're accumulating, I believe everybody should have a little gold in their portfolio. Just for the rainy day.
Yeah.
But really, it's in short supply at the moment because there's been a lack of exploration and development. We're happy to be on the leading edge of developing and putting some gold into the market. Now, copper is essential for everything that we do. We're in the data age.
Yeah.
You look at what's happening with the enormous demand on energy for AI and so on, power stations, transmission lines, everything we need. So copper, delivering that. So, I think...
and that's huge for our local economy here in America, not just the world economy, but our economy in America. I mean, I'm an electrician by trade. I'm very aware of copper. We used to call it the electrician's gold because, we would do projects and I would be allowed to take the scrap.
So you're one of those guys that were making off on my renovation with those buckets of scrap. Damn. Okay, now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah, that was me. That was me for sure. But I mean, I understand that, and so when you're talking about the exploration then and learning, forward thinking, so to speak, if I would use that terminology, what are some of the things that you see in the future that what you're bringing out of the ground, what you're doing now, what are some of the things that you see in the future that you're going to be able to go after in your organization, being the tip of the spear, so to speak, as you said?
Well, look, what we've done, we just had a presentation, and in the 1970s we had 19 smelters within the United States. Now we've got 2, so we can't even we can't even do to the extent that we need to, the final processing of the material that we pull out the ground. We have to send it overseas. We've sent our mining overseas, not in my backyard. Well, this project is, this conference is all about better in our backyard, because, rather than, having lax environmental standards and people exploiting folks in Africa to get the minerals that we need, we can do it here. We can do it responsibly and provide the basis of the economy that we need in country, and provide good jobs and so on. And we don't want to lose those skills.
No, we don't. And I think that's something, I'm big in the skilled trades, and I think that's something that we don't realize is how quickly we are losing those skills.
Well, look, one of the points that I would really like to, point you toward is that, as I mentioned to you, I've got 5 kids. I've been trying to get them into the resource sector. We need people, gray hairs like myself. We can still play a role, but we need some new blood in there. We need to have folks understanding this mining business. It's exciting. You get to touch a lot of things. You get to work with people. You get to go to fantastic places. So it's a career which is awesome in my view, and not easily automated. So it's a sort of safe haven for young people if they want to get into that sector.
Well, and I think that, I've said this a lot. I sound like a broken record. When I started out in industry, my father said to me, he said, "You learn a skilled trade. You learn that, and no one can ever take it away from you."
That's right.
And that's something that you took, and you were able to take it to multiple continents. I mean, just to take a break, we're here to talk about mining, but like for those of you who are young and you're looking to get into the trades, here's someone who has been to multiple continents because of the trade work that they had, the skill that they had. And I would think that you've lived a rather interesting life, not boring. And because I've been to some of those countries, and they're not boring.
No, look, and the thing is that it broadens your horizons. We can become a little bit U.S.-centric, just in the U.S. There are other perspectives, other points of view, and we do have to look after our sort of global.
Well, that really
presence.
is our backyard.
Yeah.
Our backyard is the earth.
All right.
Yeah.
So, treat it well, and understand other people's perspectives.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that really is one lacking currently in the world today, and so essential for success. When you have other people's points of view and perspectives, you can kind of see the whole way around something. When you're just looking from your point of view, like right now, if you're watching me, you're seeing me from the lens, and you can't see anything that's behind the lens. The reality is that's why we need different perspectives so that we can see the whole picture.
Well, this comes back to listening, and it really disturbs me at the moment, the degree of polarization, which is fueled by, a lot of it's fueled by social media and so on. And just step back and look around and put yourself in the other man's shoes, or ladies' shoes. There are things to learn from other people and to understand their perspective. So again, we come back to listening.
Yeah. Well, I think we come back to it because it's so essential. It's so important. Being a boss, a manager, and a leader of people, I can remember it actually I think it gets harder because you get farther. Like you have to actively listen. For me, and maybe I'm just stupid, which is probably true, but I'll be in situations and I'll forget what it was like to do a certain job that I used to do. Or the job has changed so much from when I used to do it that it's totally different now. And so I'll be like, well, why isn't this? And you talk about walking in someone else's shoes, putting yourself in their shoes. We really need to do that so that we understand and then can provide grace in that way, because the reality is otherwise we're not giving anybody any opportunity to grow, and we grow together. We don't grow by ourselves.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Look, I think you asked me some of the things that maybe I regret earlier on, and I was at the back of the lineup when they were handing out patients, and so I know I'm a project manager. I want to get things done, but you've got, again, listen to other people's perspective to get a better product, I used to think when I was younger that I could slay people with logic and they would follow. They don't.
That is a profound statement. And I feel like everybody from 20 to 35, if we could just learn that 10 to 15 years earlier, we would be better off.
It would be better off, yeah.
I definitely, I used to think, well, I know I'm right, but the reality is, from my point of view, I was, but not
the other. Yeah.
Not the other point of view.
So throughout my career, I've been sent on, maybe I've had a few sharp edges, and I've been sent on charm school a couple of times, and it's really very interesting because, there's a little instrument called Myers-Briggs.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I'm an ENTJ, but there are a whole bunch of different people, and to get the best result from any particular project, you've got to understand who the other people are in your group and leverage them, and sometimes they'll never come forward unless you invite them.
Don't you think, as a leader, that you talk about Myers-Briggs, and it's like one thing that I think as you grow and you have an opportunity to lead and move into roles, like your title says CEO. So in that...
I'm chief cook and bottle washer, actually. I do everything.
That is truly what a CEO does, a good one anyway. And so to that point, don't you think that as a leader, it's your job to learn about how your people communicate? You talk about Myers-Briggs, and we've talked about listening, but I feel like it's like, okay, in order for me to put myself in their shoes, I need to understand how they think.
Well, that's true, and one sort of maxim of mine is, I can't do everything, but never ask somebody to do something that you wouldn't be prepared to do yourself.
Yeah.
So, okay, look, I couldn't program a computer per se, but I know what it's about. And am I asking this person to do a reasonable job in a reasonable time frame?
Yeah.
So don't impose things on folks which you wouldn't be prepared to do.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a really good point, and that is something that really you don't. If you don't have that perspective, then you shouldn't have the title CEO. You shouldn't be a leader of people, because the reality is then you're not leading people. You're not a leader, you're a pusher.
Well, if you look, autocrats can get things done, but sometimes they're getting assassinated, or or they the thing that they're trying to hold on to, it's like a piece of sand. It slips through their fingers. So really, I think that whole notion of leading is to lead by example. Don't expect folks to do things that you wouldn't do. Listen, get their perspective, because we all have a contribution to make.
For sure. George, I really appreciate your time and sitting down here. And we really are, even in this conversation, my kids are going to be like, this is a dad joke, but it's not. We really are mining for value,
Yeah.
which is truly gold in that regard, which is the thing that carries that value. So, and I feel like I almost don't want to ask you this, but for our listeners, I do, because I don't want to ask you this because I feel like you've been so honest with us so far about your struggles, the things that you've gone through. You're talking about what you're doing, and I think it's important for people to know you in what we're talking about, because that gives them perspective about what U.S. Gold Corp is doing. You're not asking people to do things that you wouldn't do. You care about the backyard because it's your backyard. And so I told you early on that I would ask you, what is a mistake that you've made in life that you would share with our listeners that they might be able to learn from? And you've shared some already, so I don't know if you have another one, but is there anything that you could share with us that we might be able to not make that same misstep?
Gosh. Yeah, as you alluded to earlier on, you can't go through life without making a whole bunch of mistakes.
Yeah.
Let's just go with never say never, never give up.
I like that. Never say never, never give up. There was a famous guy, I've read a lot of books that he's written, from the country of your origin, I believe, named Winston Churchill. And he said, never, never, never give up. And I think that, and he was at a place in life where giving up was definitely on the horizon, and maybe a lot of people were encouraging him to. And I think that's something, whether you're in the mining industry, whether you're looking for a career, that endurance, the willingness to endure, the word endure, words matter. And the word endure means to suffer something hard patiently.
And it's tough, and it takes some fortitude, and you really have to suck it up. So, yeah, I think that is a good thing to remember. And I've looked at things and I've said, gosh, this is just too hard, but there's a way.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
a way.
One last thing, and then I will let you go. I know you're busy. But George, what would you say to those who are investing in your program, those who are in the world that are seeing these things going on? What does the future look like?
Oh, gosh. Oh, that's a tough one. Look, as you go through generation to generation and you look at the future and all the challenges, unfortunately, the pace of change seems to be outstripping our ability to adapt.
Yeah.
I think that we have to look forward with optimism.
Yeah.
There are good people out there, and I think everybody's got an element of goodness in them. You got to look for that goodness, and I think if we can find that, we can, as a society, adapt to all these changes that are coming. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the archetypal old geezer who's saying, well, it wasn't like it was in my day and all this. I mean, I think you need to harbor the pleasant things of the past, leave the bad things behind, and look with optimism to the future.
That's good. Well, I agree, and I think that those who are at your stage in life throughout history would have had a similar answer. Because, we always can look at things in the past and see things and be like, oh, I wish it was this way in the future. But the reality is the world that we live in today is better than it was 100 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, over 110 years ago, a hot shower didn't exist. So, I mean, we live in a better world, and who knows what the world of our future is if we do not give up, or, as you would say, never give up. So, George.
What a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for stepping up to the line with me.
Okay.
I appreciate it.